Okay, let's also briefly look at how two-way supports chunking or chunk messages. So you can enable chunk messages by passing two-way.enable chunking to each sealer and opener. When a sealer seals a message as in chunked format, the corresponding opener will also need to have chunking enabled. The two-way doesn't share this information with you. If you want, you can, and I would recommend it, it's what OHTTP does as well, encode this information as part of your media type. But the, let's just get this set up everywhere. Okay, that's for the client and for the server. Okay, now all messages should be chunked, and yeah, okay, we don't ignore this earlier history. Ta-da! Messages are still the same, or they still work. So how do we know that this was actually chunked? Well, we can look at any of the sealers and call max ciphertext chunklen, which will return the maximum length that a single chunk output by two-way or by this sealer will be. So here we see that it's 4,114 bytes long at maximum. Obviously it's not in this case, or at least its contents are not, but that's the maximum it can be by default. You can override these defaults by passing in with a maximum. So let's change it to I don't know, to 4. Beautiful number. And you will see that since there is additional data included in these chunks, 17 bytes in this case, that the actual output chunk size will be slightly bigger. One thing to keep in mind here is this option also works for request openers. If you are working on an OHTTP system, you need to keep in mind that the OHTTP RFC calls for receivers to at least be able to receive chunks of, I think, something like 16,000 bytes. The defaults of two-way support this, but keep that in mind if you override them. All right, that's all there is to chunking. You can just read them from the IO readers as if they are streaming readers. That's actually not all there is, because how are chunks constructed? That's pretty important. So when a sealer sends a chunk message, it will read from an underlying reader, right? So in this case, it will read from the reader we return from the handler. Each read from the underlying reader will make one chunk. So if you want consistent chunk sizes for each chunk, you will need to make sure that your underlying reader returns consistently sized results. Now at most, the response stealer will read up to this length. So you can influence that, but the minimum length is up to you. All right, that really is all there is to it. So check it out.